Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. And today I got another special guest. We got Football Kelly in the building. How you doing today, Kelly? How was your day today?
Well, so far so good. I think the Eagles are in a good place going into training camp. I'm excited to see them back in action in Philadelphia.
Nice. Now let's give everybody a little background of your history and like what made you become a Birds fan.
So I grew up in the Delco area, if people are familiar, Philadelphia. So lots of years of heartache and pain watching the Birds growing up, but they finally made us happy and satisfied in 2017 when they brought home the Lombardi. I've been talking about the Eagles on Twitter for over 10 years now. I can't even imagine that it's been that long, but according to my bio, it's true. So talking with Eagles fans is always a joy. Love interacting with everybody about, what the moves are, whether or not we should make a move. The Eagles constantly are in the news. They're a big team with a passionate fan base. I love being a part of it. So I'm happy to be here talking with you about what's going on with this team so far for 2021.
Nice. So you do coach your own show, your podcast, right? What was the name of that one?
Yes, I have my own podcast. It's called The Kelly Green Show. It's on the Eagles Unfiltered podcast. We've got some very fantastic hosts on that show. We have Gio, who is a fan favorite. But my show, I've talked to some incredible people. I've been so blessed to have Jennifer Slay be my debut episode. She is fantastic. Talked to Lisa Slater from ESPN. Sorry, Lisa, I'm going to totally blank on her name. Santer from ESPN. And Colleen Wolfe from NFL Network. Try to raise women's voices who are doing big things in the sports industry. Really love that aspect of what I'm able to do. So I've constantly reached out to different female voices in the Philadelphia market specifically, but also who have a connection to the Philadelphia area. And ultimately, I've gotten to speak with beat reporters about what's going on, talk to Andrew Brand about the crazy cap situation when we were considering trading Carson Wentz when that didn't seem like it was possible. So over the course of the last few months, it's just been kind of a roller coaster for the Eagles fans, and I've been along for the ride.
Oh yeah, it's been a nice little roller coaster, but hopefully we're going on the incline of that ride there shortly.
We pray.
Yeah. Hey, and then those connections for sure. You get some of them girls at your show, they want to come over to Bird Gang Nation and do a show. That'd be awesome. We're going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
They're nice girls, so you can reach out anytime. I'm sure they'll be willing to come on sometime.
Okay, so how do you feel? Give me your breakdown about last year. How do you feel about last year? Whose side are you on? You on the Carson side? You on the mixed on the fence about things? What's your outtake on it?
It's a very interesting question because it is so complex. The answer is so complex.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that Carson Wentz had a bad year. I believe that Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. He will be a good quarterback for the Colts. Ultimately, it was not going to work in Philadelphia anymore. It got to the point of no return. So for us, unfortunately, we lose a player that could potentially be the franchise quarterback that we've been waiting for since McNabb left. I mean, we've gone through kind of a carousel of players over the course of the last few seasons since McNabb was here for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, Wentz was going to be that guy. So it's difficult emotionally to part, with a guy that could be that game changer who helped bring the Eagles to that Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody says, that 2017 season, he was absolutely part of why the Eagles even made it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to count out, a bad season, that's where I'm standing on the situation. I understand that he was very, very bad last year. Like, I will not try to explain away the bad decisions that he made. Never threw away the ball. Just seemed out of sorts. So we're starting fresh. We've got a new quarterback. We've got a new head coach. A lot of changes are underway, but ultimately, you got to put it this way to people. Like, if the Eagles are playing the Colts, are you cheering more for the Eagles or are you cheering more for Carson Wentz? Like, that's the side you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're playing the Colts in 2022. That will be a very interesting game.
Oh, by then we're gonna be going straight birds on that one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I have a feeling Jalen Hurts gonna bring everybody on board. The people that aren't on board, it is
The
definitely Hurts season.
the most beautiful thing would be if Jalen Hurts is truly the man.
Mm-hmm. So how do you?
Because the way that we got to him was chaotic. But ultimately, if Jalen Hurts can be the quarterback of the future for the Eagles, doesn't matter how we got to him, he's the guy. And that's all we really hope for when we're cheering for the Eagles, to have an answer at the most important position on the field.
Nice. And how was your feeling when we drafted Hurts? Are you on the side that we shouldn't have got him then, or are you on the side that it was a good decision? Because I'm more of on the side where it's kind of a business decision. We
Yeah.
kept paying all this money to backup quarterback. Why not get a good, talented young player? You know what I'm saying, that was coming out of college. Runner up in the Heisman to come in. We showed dedication to Carson by giving him that fat contract. You know what I'm saying? So he should have took it as a man and not as a challenge. So that's my take on it. But how do you?
I agree with you. I think Carson Wentz shouldn't have taken it as mentally as he may have, So for me, it was a shock that we did that because that's an investment. That second round pick could have been a safety or an impact player for our defense that we so desperately still potentially need. A
Mm-hmm.
long term answer in that critical position, that we could have maybe waited on a quarterback. That's my stance on it. Ultimately, I'm not going to go back and try to change what happened, but I feel like everything does happen for a reason. The Eagles felt very confident in Carson Wentz. They gave him the money. They put the money behind him,
Mm-hmm.
um, and ultimately they thought that he would be mentally strong enough to handle having somebody behind him, because there was an investment that needed to be made on the quarterback two position, because as we saw in 2018, the Eagles went to the playoffs. We had Foles again. He lost to the Saints in that game. And then in 2019, Carson Wentz went out with the concussion against the Seahawks, and we had Josh McCown. So that was the most recent history up until they took Jalen Hurts in the second round. If you're taking Jalen Hurts in the second round, you're saying we really needed an insurance policy on Carson Wentz. And regardless of whether you or I or any fan thinks that that was the right decision, that's what happened. And Carson couldn't hack it. So it might be a blessing in disguise if Jalen Hurts can be the guy. I truly believe in him. I see an insane amount of leadership qualities in this kid. He is really demanding greatness from himself and all the people on that field with him. And I think that will translate on game days.
Yes, I fully agree. I fully agree. I definitely think Hurts is a man. He has a lot to prove, and he's ready to prove it. And I think he's mentally strong enough, definitely, to handle the situation. So,
I mean,
how
if
do you
you
see?
need to be strong in any situation, it's in Philadelphia. Let's get
Oh
that
yeah.
straight. So there's no waffling on whether or not you have confidence. Jalen Hurts went through the Bama, I guess, crazy press, storm that he went through transferring from Bama to Oklahoma. The kid
Mm-hmm.
has been seasoned and trained in kind of controversy and has always come out on top. The
Oh
kid
yeah.
is definitely strong enough to handle the pressure of Philadelphia. It's
Mm-hmm.
whether or not he can actually develop into the quarterback we need him to really be that guy.
Yes, I fully agree. And like you said, yeah, here in Bama, man, I'm here in Bama. I watch Jalen Hurts play. And man, to play under Saban, man, he don't take no joke. He don't take
Nope.
no players, man. It's like they say playing for Saban is like you're playing for an NFL team. And the way Bama wins championships is like they are an NFL team in the college rankings. So
Yeah, and speaking of Saban, I think that the most infamous clip that there is of him is when he's talking after a game one time, and he's asked by the ESPN reporter, like, So, like, who's it going to be for next week, Jalen or Tua? And he says, I don't know why you guys keep asking. I'm not going to answer. Like, so quit asking.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's really trying to defend Jalen Hurts in that situation. Like, ultimately, most people knew that Tua was going to be the guy. But for Nick Saban to protect his player, he must really have a heart for Jalen Hurts. And that's not something you easily get. You don't get Nick Saban's heart very quickly. You must be a special person off the field
Mm-hmm.
and proving a lot of effort and putting in a lot of work to be that person in his conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And he's definitely came back to the community since then, since he's even been with the Eagles. I think earlier last month, he was here doing a football camp in Hoover at Hoover High School. That's one of the top high schools around the nation, the area. So, yeah, Jalen's been doing his work here. And like you said, he showed Nick Saban that he was right because Jalen ended up kicking them out of the football college playoffs and taking his new team to the playoffs. So I bet you Saban was like, man, he had a little man inside of him.
Oh, a little twice about that one.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so how do you see his 4 games from last year?
I think everybody was very impressed by the Saints win just because it was a shock. The Saints were incredible. They were undefeated at that point. They were the number one defense in the league. There was no chance that the rookie quarterback was going to beat them. And he shocks the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's loving this kid, running crazy on this top defense, and it was so fun to watch. Like that one game that we had an enjoyable experience because up until then we had just been through so much up and down with this 2020 Eagles team. I think Jalen Hurts brought so much energy to that roster. I think you saw the difference from when he went in at the Packers game. He's
Mm-hmm.
actually going in and the defense starts getting interceptions. Like it was it was incredible. Like they were just it was like a different team was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say all you want that like that doesn't really translate to him being the quarterback, but like the team, the roster was playing differently when Jalen Hurts was the starting quarterback. And he got a his first NFL touchdown on fourth down. Like
Yes.
incredible pass to Greg Ward in that Packers game. Loved seeing him just go into the game real hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was
Rick.
so much pressure going into that moment because it was such a big deal to bench Wentz, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he took it in stride. Like this kid is just ready to go. And I think he's constantly prepared. He's always expecting to play. That's the mentality that you want from any player. I don't care if anybody's making a big deal about Joe Flacco saying he wants to start. I want every player to want to start. I
Yes.
don't care. It's the coach's decision ultimately who plays.
Mm-hmm.
So if a guy's like, I don't really want to play, I'd like to be backup. I don't think you should be on my team.
No, I agree.
Ultimately, that's how I feel. But I think the most impressive game, I know people say there were ups and downs to that game, but the most impressive game of his short NFL career so far was the Cardinals game.
Yes.
Because it was a back and forth kind of shootout type of
Mm-hmm.
game. The defense wasn't doing much. He was sacked 6 times.
Whew.
That O line was a turnstile. Like it was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed so much poise and he was able to make plays with his legs. There were several big moments in that game where I thought this kid is battling to prove himself. Like he wants everyone around him to believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw so much of his potential in that game because it really did come down to the last play when the Cardinals at the time were basically set to be in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
given the NFC West was very, very competitive last year. So ultimately, when you can go up against Kyler Murray in the games in the play that he was having last season,
Mm-hmm.
I think that speaks volumes to the player that Jalen Hurts is because Carson Wentz was getting kicked around, beaten around, and then falling apart.
Yes.
Never saw Jalen Hurts lose his composure.
Exactly. And he made big plays for all the people that don't think he can throw. I think with the 4 game stint, he showed a lot of awesome plays on the ground and also in the air. When he picked up that fumble, hit Ertz, what I'm saying, rolling out, hitting Ward, the back shoulders fade to Alshon.
And
You
what
know,
do you want from a kid that didn't have any off season, had no preseason? Like, the kid's a rookie. You're
mm-hmm.
not going to give him any time to develop? Like, are you kidding me?
And
Like,
he was playing with the B team.
anybody that just says like he hasn't shown me enough is like just lazy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like, you're not giving this kid a chance, and you're not giving yourself any reason to believe in him because you don't want to. That's the fact.
Exactly.
You don't want to believe that he could be the answer because you're upset about what happened with Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like that. I believe that Wentz is a good quarterback. I'm never going to put that on Hurts. That's not his problem. That's not his issue. It's a franchise issue. You can have all the gripes in the world against the Eagles organization for how they handled it.
Mm-hmm.
That is not on Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. I fully agree.
So don't root against him, Eagles fans. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Right. You better have Hurts' back. It's Hurts season, baby, and
It
ready.
is.
He is ready. So how do you feel about the draft this year? Did you like the pick? Did you have anybody else in mind at that spot, or how do you feel?
I was really expecting there to be one of those top 2 cornerbacks still on the board by the time we came. I mean, I was looking at the mock drafts every day up until the draft happened, and I was like, okay, I feel like we're going to be in a place to get Horn or maybe, Surtain. One of those 2 guys could be like a very nice fit across from Slay. That would be the perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the board was just not going at all like anybody had suggested it would. I mean, we were hearing that Mac Jones might go to the 49ers with their trade-up move to the 3rd pick. And I was like, okay, they took Trey Lance, so now who's going to take Mac Jones? Nobody's going to take Mac Jones ahead of the top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I thought that the Giants weren't really going to be in on a wide receiver. So I was kind of shocked when I was sitting there watching and the Cowboys were on the clock, and all of a sudden there's a trade, and I was like, oh, who's it going to be? And then it was the Eagles trading up with the Cowboys. I was like, oh my God, what is happening here?
Right.
So that was the biggest shock of the night, that the Cowboys helped us out, did us a favor. Because I thought, the Giants have Galladay, they have Slayton, they have, Shepard. They have a lot of weapons. They just brought in John Ross on a flyer on free agency. And I'm like, okay, so they're definitely not going wide receiver. And they apparently were targeting the guy we got.
Right.
So it was a smart move by us to move up ahead of them. Yeah. I love the fact that we get to rub that in their face every time he makes a big play, because Devontae Smith is incredible. I'm so excited that he is in Midnight Green for this coming season. The connection from Hurts to him will, start out fast and strong. I'm sure that a lot of people will be giving him a lot of attention on defense. But ultimately, this kid cannot be covered.
Yes. We call him the Slim Reaper, baby. The Slim Reaper is definitely going to be scoring some touchdowns and getting lots of yards this year.
I mean, that national game where he had like 3 touchdowns in the first half.
The first half of national championship, I think it was.
I was like,
record, yeah.
This kid's not going to make it to the Eagles at 6.
Right.
And then we traded back, and I was like, oh, we don't have a chance at any of the top wide receivers. And we still get him, and we get a first-round pick next year. I think it was the best draft of recent history for the Eagles. It's not hard to say that because we've had some pretty bad drafts over the years, but I love the idea of having Hurts with Rager and Smith to develop together. If you've got a kid like Rager actually being developed by a guy like Sirianni who understands the wide receiver tree, the routes that they're going to be going on, this kid's actually going to do well with Smith on the other side of the field.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's giving up on Rager, too. And I'm like, man, don't give up on Rager. He didn't have no one.
He's working.
Yeah, he's working. I don't feel like the coaching staff teached any of the young guys right last year. You know what I'm saying? They didn't put they
We've
kept
never been able to develop wide receivers. It's actually my biggest gripe with the previous staff. Obviously, they brought us a Super Bowl, but you brought in veterans to address that need. You had Alshon Jeffrey, you had Torrey Smith. You had guys that were here that really helped make Nelson Aguilar's job a little bit easier. But
mm-hmm.
he was really the only guy on the roster that showed progress in his development under that coaching staff. And as soon as you gave the wide receiver coach the offensive coordinator position, that all fell apart.
Right.
So I honestly think that you have a guy like Sirianni with such a young coaching staff under him. This is going to be a little bit of an experiment, young players with young coaches, but I think it's going to be really fun. And I'm hoping that it's fun.
From what you've seen so far, you like him? You
I
like
like him. I think it's refreshing to have a person come in here like really amped up, ready to go. Like
mm-hmm.
in Philadelphia, you might get beaten down a little bit for being too excited, but for me, I love it. Like just give me all the energy, give me all the enthusiasm, and put this team on your back and say like, let's go. Like, and I've been told by Colts fans, you see the enthusiasm now, but when it's go time, like the enthusiasm becomes like diligence. Like you guys look like crap. Let me see it again. And like Sirianni is a stickler for detail. So if somebody's not doing what he wants, that enthusiasm can quickly turn to a little bit dicey of a conversation with
Oh yeah.
with a player. So he tells them straight when the going gets tough for sure.
Oh yeah, nice man. That's what we need down there. Someone that's gonna teach you what you need to do first, build around you, and then put it out on the field. If you mess up, he's definitely gonna cut your head off.
Yeah, I'm telling you what to do. You're not doing it. Like I can find somebody else to do it if you don't want to do it.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah, I love the comment from your commenter Papa Sora, but it's really interesting that a lot of people feel like Rager could technically be the probably bigger target on the team. Even everybody thinks like, oh, Smith will probably get a ton of targets. He might get way more attention from the cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So you free up Rager with his speed. He could get to be the actual 1,000-yard receiver that we've been hoping for sooner than Smith, just based off of his availability, his openness for Hurts to throw the ball his way.
That's a good take. Yeah, that's the first time we got that take on here. Yeah, I fully agree, man. I think our offense is going to be spread open. You know what I'm saying? We have so much talent, so much speed. It's all youthful. You got Hurst back there who can run and pass. You got, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell. You got Johnson. Who's going to stop those three backs when they're doing, options and RPOs and stuff like that? That's going to bring people up. Devontae over the top for touchdowns. Rager coming in the slants for touchdowns. Now, I think this is going to be a high-scoring Eagles team. A lot of people are underestimating us, but I think we're going to shock the world this year.
People are definitely underestimating us. I do worry about the cornerback 2 situation. We definitely haven't addressed that enough for my comfort zone. I think Darius Slay has done as much as he possibly can to try to alleviate the passing game against our defense. I really love our passing, like our pass rush is going to be fantastic in my opinion. You've got, BG, Fletcher Cox, Hargraves, Barnett, and then a second wave with Kerrigan and Sweat and all these guys coming in to, even our rookies. There's a ton of rookies that are on the D line. So if you got these kids coming in vying for a position, that's going to just push you to be that much harder to get past, on the passing game. So I love that our D-line is going to be tough. I'm worried about the CB2, but otherwise I think that Jalen Hurts will hopefully have enough offensive weapons to keep us in most of these games. I'm looking at the top of that season, that schedule. It looks tough, but I think we're up for it.
Yeah, and I think just to, like no one's been really up for any of our coaches the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? And with Nick Sirianni, he says he's gonna come with something different every week. You know, JG said he's coming with something different every week, and I think that's what's gonna get us by this first week, first 4 games.
Right.
I'm saying a lot of people see a couple of losses in there. You know, my overall is a 12-5 record. That's what I think
Wow.
do this year, because if you look at the schedule, like we always say, only the Chiefs and Tampa Bay are the only two teams that you might go, okay, we can lose there, or if we lose there, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, okay, yeah, that was
Yeah.
expected. You know what I'm saying? Even though I fully expect us to win one of those games. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
to shock everybody.
Yeah, just to shock everybody. But other
You
than that,
know, Tom Brady tends to lose against Nick Foles and the Eagles. So I would love to see that be the case this year. Just having Tom Brady come to Philadelphia and take a loss. That
yeah,
would be a
hell
beautiful thing
goes.
for me.
Yeah, and then like I said, no one else on the schedule really scares me. You know, I'm not saying that we're gonna win all the games, but like I said, the losses aren't gonna be, you know, we getting beat down like last year. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
hard fought losses. You know, we might field goal here, you know what I'm saying, turnover that cost us the game here, you know, but it's not gonna be losses where it's like last year where we're just like 2 touchdowns, 10 points, you know, something like that. So, you know, I really have high hopes on this. I think Jalen could be a dark horse MVP candidate this year.
Oh,
You
I like it.
Devontae Smith going for Rookie of the Year. You know what I'm saying? You got Miles Sanders going to his first Pro Bowl, over 1,000 yards rushing. You know, that's how I see our team shape.
Whew.
So,
Love it.
how do you
Love it.
how you feel about some of these things? Like, let's start with the Zach Ertz situation. You know, I know he's coming to camp because nobody losing 40 G's a day. You know, you ain't that rich.
He's not stupid either.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like he is the type of player that I would be shocked if he said, I'm not showing up. Like, it would shock me if he was that guy, because he literally came out of the season last year crying about not being able to come back to Philadelphia, basically. In my opinion, he always had the option to come back. It was whether or not he was financially willing to take a little bit less money. So maybe he's been brought back down to earth a little bit. He's in his older years. He's not the level that Travis Kelce and
Kittle.
what's his name?
Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle. He's not their level anymore. He's a very dependable guy. I think that's the undervalued thing about Ertz is outside of last season, he was constantly playing in the game. He lacerated his kidney and then played in that Seahawks game. I mean, in that playoff game, it was so important to him. He is that player for Philadelphia, and that's why there's so much admiration for him from this fan base. Ultimately, I would love for Hurts to have security blankets and depth at that position, because it's just such a critical position to have a weapon for, because there's a lot of defenses that can't cover a tight end of his talent with his route ability. And then you have Dallas Goedert on the other end. Let's do some two tight end sets. I know that Sirianni has talked about that in the past. I know a lot of people love Richard Rodgers. I think ultimately, if you're able to get Zach in the building, you can convince him, look, you need to take a little less. We're not doing this $8 million nonsense. You have to understand like where we're at as a team. We really need you to be a team player. You could convince that guy to be for Philadelphia and try to make it work so that he could be here long term. But it's the Dallas Goedert show now. Like, I think most people should expect Dallas Goedert to get a ton of attention from defenses, because maybe the wide receiver core is a little young and a little fresh, and they know that Dallas Goedert can kill them on the inside. So they'll take their chances outside and maybe put a little bit more attention on him on the inside. But ultimately, if Dallas Goedert can't stay healthy, which we've seen a track record of him not being able to stay on the field every single game of the season, then you have to start relying on Richard Rodgers, you know? So Richard Rodgers is technically my number one choice for tight end 2. I would love to have Zach Ertz be that guy, but it's ultimately up to him whether or not he's going to hold out. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, so let's go into training camp. Let's see what these guys can put together on tape, get this offense going, and ultimately, let's see if everybody can help the development of Jalen Hurts. That's the most important part of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I fully agree. And I think with the Zach Ertz situation, besides him not wanting to lose the money, I just can't see him going into a contract year, you know,
Right.
being a backup, you know. And then I think he's going to be a little bit more butthurt once he sees Goddard get an extension, because we're going to have to extend Goddard early in the season. You can't let this guy play, because if he turns to be the player that we want him to be, that's going to mean the price is going to go a lot higher than it would be right now if we go ahead and get that extension. And then Ertz going to see Goddard get his money and be the backup too. I think that's going to bring a little bit of a negative effect to our team. You know what I'm saying? Even though he is a good player
I
and he
don't think that his I don't think he can possibly bring negative energy because most people understand where he's coming from. They're about their money, they're about their business. They don't get into each other's contract conversations. I understand some part of it can potentially leak into the locker room, but I don't think that will impact them on the field.
Nice. Now, what about the other battle we got going over there on the tackle side? Do you see Mailata earning and deserving that start, or do you think it's time to see if Dillard can take the reins over and get it started?
I've said this a couple of times. It's probably not the most popular take, but I think most Eagles fans should actually want Dillard to be the guy because we invested that first round pick. If he can come back from the injury and be a very important piece on that O-line, then you have that answer for several years on his rookie contract. Mailata is almost up on his contract, and he's still in the development process. You have to decide whether or not you're going to pay him in the very near future. So ultimately, you might want to say strategically, I want Dillard to be the guy just to prove that he can, hold down the blind side of that O-line.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked what I saw from Mailata last year. I'm not going to deny that. I think that he definitely is making incredible strides. I think that we still haven't seen the full ability of Dillard on the left side because of the fact that he was injured last year all season. And I do understand fans who are saying Dillard's soft because, let's be honest, we haven't seen enough of him, and he was a first-round pick. Everybody should expect and demand him to be the guy. We do that with every single player that's a first-round pick. We beat them up if they're not doing what they need to do to be on the field. And Mailata is such an incredible story. I mean, a rookie coming in who had never played football in his entire life. Stout is such an incredible developer on the O-line to have even gotten him to the point he's at now. So I won't hate if Mailata is the guy. I just don't fully anticipate that he will be the guy because of the business standpoint of the Eagles and how they have approached several other decisions in the past.
And with Dillard there, he doesn't really seem to play both sides.
He does not.
If Dillard,
and that's the other part, because Mailata can be a swing tackle for you should there be an injury on either side of the tackle situation.
Yes. All right, let's go jump over to the defensive side. Now,
Okay.
we talked about that CB2. Now, what are you looking to do? Should we let the young guys play? Zach McPherson, Jaquette, because like I said, with the Sticks defense last year, they were not developed right. I think everybody can see that, and everybody know that Schwartz left them on islands. You know what I'm saying? They held their own.
Oh, for sure.
But with a new defensive plan, they will be able to have help. We're going to be doing a lot more blitzing this year. We're going to have, a whole new defense. Do you want to give those guys a shot just to see what you got back there? Do you want to go out and get an elite, trade for an elite corner like, Howard or Gilmore? Or do you think Steven Nelson's the answer to that?
I mean, I'm all for trying to trade for Howard or bring in Nelson just to have a solution there for the year. I don't think it's realistic. I understand that Howie's probably going to have a short amount of money to put out there to somebody that's a free agent. And if you have to work in a contract like Howard's, it probably would take a lot out of you. But the problem is that there is these young guys that definitely could be the guy, and you don't get to see them develop if you put somebody out there that's a temporary fix, a Band-Aid, which would be the case for Steven Nelson. But Howard's young. Like, you could bring this kid in and he could be the answer for several more years. So he would be my choice for sure. It's all about, maneuvering the money in order to do that. So whether it is, releasing Zach Ertz or trading Zach Ertz to, alleviate some of the costs up front that would come with getting a talent like him, I would say that move makes more sense because you're building towards the future. These Band-Aid moves don't make much sense for next year. If you're really going to let these kids play, then let them learn on the job. Let them build themselves up. I've seen ups and downs in the career of Avonte Maddox. I still have faith that he is potentially going to have a turnaround season. Everybody was bad last year in my book. Like, they all had their bad games. And Avonte Maddox was injured. He had a couple things going on. So I'm not going to hold it against him that he had things going on that prevented him from playing to his full ability. I thought he had flashes in his younger career. And he's been moved around a lot. He's been asked to do so much in his young career, be safety, be cornered, outside, inside. So if we really want this to be, let's see what we've got type of season, like a lot of people are suggesting, and they're able to prove that they can be the guy, that's almost a win-win. But the drawback is that if they aren't the guy, you're putting your quarterback in a very difficult position every single game because he's constantly going to be in these shootout positions. And I don't want that for Jalen Hurts. I think that's an unfair position to put him in. So I would like to prevent that at all costs. Give him as much of a chance to really rally this team around him, give him a true chance to be the quarterback of the future. And if you're winning games, you're not having any complaints from anybody for sure.
Right. And I feel like we've already upgraded our secondary just with the additions of Harris. And, we got Jacoby Stevens in the draft. He's going to be a very good hybrid player that I think we can use and some sub packages.
Definitely.
And if McLeod's ready for the beginning of the season, that's a plus. And if not, everybody's really high on Kayvon Wallace coming back there. So how do you feel about as a whole, not just the CB2 spot? Do you think that, running a new defense, meaning you're going to have help from a Pro Bowl player back there, you know what I'm saying? So you can let rookies, do their thing for a little bit.
I think it was so important during the years that we had Malcolm Jenkins to have that leader in that secondary, that second level of defense, that communicator, that person that got people in the right positions. And when he left in free agency, that was lost. I think that Anthony Harris will provide that level of leadership to the younger guys to help them get in the right positions. And he has experience with Gannon's defense. So he's already well-versed in the verbiage that he's going to be using, the scheme that he's going to be using. So when you have a guy who is basically a second coach who is on the field with those players, that is something that is very, very much something that will benefit the younger players. And even it will benefit Darius Slay because he is also learning a new defense at this point.
Oh, yeah, everybody's starting out from scratch, you know what I'm saying? So that should help out because now they get to build the defense in the office through the players, and that's going to definitely be a lot better than before where you had to come in and play a certain defense that's already branded inside the team.
Yeah, so it seemed like we were never doing what was best for the players. It was always what was best for Schwartz, and I was just constantly hands covering my eyes, freaking out about the sticks defense we had going on. I mean, there's so many plays that we just messed up, and we could have just been off the field. Our defense was getting worn down, just being dumb on coaching. I think that we're going to have a lot smarter decision-making this year, and hopefully our players will benefit from being able to get off the field when the defense is able to hold them to 3 downs.
Yeah. And the offense even playing better, not having such a predictable offense. People don't realize our defense, we're 3rd in the league in stats, so that's good.
Right.
But even all those touchdowns they were giving up, a lot of that was they played great in the first half, but the offense just kept giving the ball back, three and out, three and out, three and out, turnover. You know what I'm saying? When you have to play majority of the game towards the end, you're probably gonna get burnt a lot. People
Yeah.
play tired. You know what I'm saying? They'd have
Because
been
what we saw with the Chip Kelly era at the end, it was just basically like so fast defense was on the field constantly. They're burnt out.
yeah.
So I don't want to see that repeated. I think that ultimately it was the right decision to start fresh with the coaching staff. Feel really good about the guys that we brought in. It's a matter of seeing how that translates this coming season.
Okay. And I heard you talking about our defensive line earlier. You know what I'm saying? How you feeling about Sweat or Barnett? Which one do you think is going to be the main guy this year? Because Sweat had more sacks last year, and I'm personally on board with Sweat taking over Barnett's spot. You know what I'm saying? Getting him out of here maybe by the trade deadline. But how do you take it?
I've been saying this, so I just have to keep saying it because I feel like ultimately I'll just be wrong or right at this point. I honestly believe that Derek Barnett is going to have a breakout season this year.
Yeah.
I think that he has shown sparks and flashes over the course of his career, has an injury concern for sure. I think that he stays healthy this season and he has double-digit sacks. I think that we see Sweat coming in during his off plays, and he creates a lot of chaos as well, and he's going to do some damage. So I'm not going to put them against each other by any means, but I think that Barnett will be the starter.
Okay, I like that. That was a good take there. You know what I'm saying? Most people either pick one or the other. You said, Barnett staying, baby. He's breaking out this year, and Sweat's coming in. He's gonna be dominating just as much. So I like it because that's all we need.
Barnett is bendy. Like I see him on tape, and I'm like, this kid is gonna be so good once he stops getting taken out of games this long. Like the injuries on this team, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Like the roster has been beat up over the course of time under the Peterson era, and I'm just worried that like maybe the medical staff wasn't doing enough to address their issues to help them continue to play. And this new coaching staff coming in, I think they'll be able to hopefully turn that roster of injuries a little bit to a smaller list than it was in previous seasons. And I think Barnett's going to be able to, on a contract year, make a big, big statement.
Yeah. And a lot of people was even saying, how, Doug didn't really like the hitting pads. You know what I'm saying? He had a lot of veterans. So, maybe that was the reason why. Because, I played ball before too. And that's those 2-a-day summertime. That's when you get the calluses on your body. You take your little early lumps and bruises when you can take the time on the side and not be losing in the game. So by the time the season gets around here, your body's used to it. You're developing control, and that's why I like about Nick Sirianni. He said he's gonna be hitting in practice. You know what I'm saying? Every 2 weeks, we're gonna be going to the ground sometime. So
yeah, we're gonna get a little uncomfortable.
I think that actually might help our injury situation. So you're not getting these soft tissues in the beginning and middle of the season that's keeping you out 2 and 3 games when you need your star players to play.
Definitely. I'm with you. And I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah. Okay. So give me your predictions. What do you see the Eagles going this year?
I don't do win-loss predictions. I always have an optimistic take about the Eagles. I'm never going to go into any game saying we're going to lose. I don't care if it's the Chiefs. I don't care if it's the Patriots. I don't care if it's the reigning Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. I'm going into that game saying, like, we've got a chance. Okay. And maybe I don't think it's a great chance, but I'm always thinking, how can we win this game? Punt returns, kick returns. Like, let's do something crazy. Like, even if it's just, like, a momentary blip, like what are we going to do to make an impact in this game to potentially keep us in it? Ultimately, I like the fact that we have the worst schedule of all of the NFC East. I like that the NFC East is backloaded on our schedule. I like that we get the Cowboys early because Cowboys tend to have a lot of confidence in themselves, talking their shit. Yeah. And they get knocked down at one point, and people just start talking trash on them. I want it to be the Eagles game. Early on, and I want it to be the Eagles trashing them. I like the fact that we have the Falcons week 1 without Julio Jones. They're still trying to sort out their identity on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that, Kyle Pitts is an incredible player, but they still have Matt Ryan behind center, so I feel pretty good about our chances in that game. Hopefully, we'll be able to win one in Atlanta. I went to the Atlanta game when we played them, and that one sucked to leave, but hopefully we can win this one, turn things around in that front, get back on the page of the wild card game that we played against them in a few years ago. Otherwise, in my opinion, I think we're going to be competitive. I think a lot of people are counting us out for this season. I don't see that being the case. I don't think people on this roster are complacent. I don't think that they were happy with how things went last season, and they are a few seasons removed from a Super Bowl, if people don't remember. So they're going to want some respect on their name.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got Brooks coming back, who was a big missing piece from that offensive line last year. Ultimately, a long answer to your question, I think we're going to potentially be in it till the very end of the season for the division.
Okay. So since you didn't want to give me the answer of total wins and losses, how about you just break down the division games only?
Okay.
Like, I think we can sweep the Giants. We probably can even sweep the Redskins, and maybe split with the Cowgirls.
I think that we're going to split with the Cowgirls, just because I like the roster they have on offense. I don't really know a lot about what they've got going on defense. They drafted all defensive players this year. They're very young on defense, so they might not even be that put together, but they're going to have a lot of blowout potential, shootout type of plays. When you've got CeeDee Lamb and all those offensive weapons, Dak better be able to put some numbers up. But even last year when he was healthy, they were still losing games. So I don't know. In my opinion, we're going to split with the Cowgirls. We're probably going to split with the Giants.
Oof.
And then we're going to sweep the football team.
Okay. I still like a sweep in there. I still like the sweep. But for me, I'm going. That sweep's going to be with the Giants, man. Because Daddy Food Stamps ain't doing nothing against us, baby. He ain't doing nothing. He can have all the weapons in the world, but I don't think he got it.
I don't think he's going to be the guy for them. No, I'm not seeing it.
Yes.
I mean, they've tried to give him all the weapons, but you know what weapon they don't have for him?
His arm.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and Devontae. So,
amen.
Would you have?
So when he makes that first touchdown pass catch against the Giants, I'm just going to be like, thank you, Cowboys.
Thank you.
There's one nice thing that you've ever done for us. It's giving us the gift of Devontae Smith.
And that's why I said we're not going to sweep the Cowgirls. You guys gave us a
one gift.
You'll get one gift back by getting the win, maybe in Jerry's world, but we definitely going to win in Philadelphia.
Love it.
So,
love it.
I like to ask everybody, give me your all-time favorite Eagles list of players. We could start on offense, what I'm saying? We break it down. We go like 2 quarterbacks, and then
okay.
So give me your first 2 quarterbacks, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, so I was very young when I know that my podcast is the Kelly Green Show, but I was very young when Randall Cunningham was playing. Okay. So I can't fully appreciate the player he was, but I'm going to have him on my team. Like, he would be an incredible player in today's NFL. Like, I would have loved to see Randall Cunningham in today's league, like, out of this world, like, would have been incredible. But the highlights that I've seen over his career, there's no question. Ultimate weapon, going to destroy you with his arm and his leg. Got to go run Randall Cunningham for quarterback 1. And quarterback 2 is Donovan McNabb in my book. Some of the best years of my Eagles fandom, honestly. I think that a lot of people probably have negative reaction to that because they have sort of made a decision about how they feel about Donovan McNabb. I love him. I think that he's constantly in the playoffs for the Eagles, and that's not something you can easily do. We can't even get back to the playoffs, on a healthy season, after a Super Bowl. Like, it takes a lot to get to the playoffs, and he was constantly and consistently able to do that with, the most weird wide receiver cores you could possibly imagine. So you got to give that man props, and I'm definitely giving him his flowers as much as possible. He was an extremely talented player. When it comes to wide receivers, I was always a big fan of what's his name? Blanking right now for no reason. Jackson. Deshaun Jackson. I was very much a fan of his return. It was a botch, so I am going rookie season through the time that he was let go by Chip Kelly. His career in Philadelphia at that time was some of the most fun football to watch.
Oh, yeah.
The most incredible threat. You got to go T.O. as well. Got us to the Super Bowl. Literally played on a injured leg and was probably the best player on the field still. And then, on the other side of the field, you've got to have, like somebody to change things up, right? Like, in my opinion, what's his name? I'm going to blank on it too. I feel like
We got Macklin. We got...
No, I'm thinking of the tight end from Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis was such an underrated talent. He was probably the reason we got to the Super Bowl that year. And he was a huge loss because he was injured right at the end of that previous game. And he missed the Super Bowl. He was absolutely incredible, completely underrated player. My first Eagles jersey ever. I got his jersey when I was a little kid, so definitely biased on that front. When it comes to like defense, like you've got to go. Well, I'll do running backs because at least I have to say something like that. Westbrook. No, I don't need to explain it. Everybody knows.
Exactly.
Like, it's just he's the man. Defense, got to have Dawkins beating everybody down. I'm a big fan of Reggie White because who else would you pick for your pass rush than him? And ultimately, if I'm going cornerback for somebody just to change things up, I really can't decide on a corner. It's a tough one for me. Maybe I'll go Sheldon Brown.
Nice.
Just because he hits tough. That's my level of football. Like, I just like to see guys who bring a lot of energy to the field. I think that's probably got to be the perfect team for the Eagles for sure.
Okay, I like it. Well, that's good, man. That's good. Thank you again for coming by the show. I really love your insight on how you see the team and how you view the team. Let everybody know where else they can find you or catch out some of your content at.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed this. It's always funny that I always feel like I should prepare for the Eagles conversations, and then I never do, but I still know exactly what I'm going to say somehow. I think I just pay attention to the Eagles way too much. My podcast is on the Eagles Unfiltered podcast. It is the Kelly Green Show. Appreciate all of you listening tonight, and go Birds.
All right. So you guys go check out that Kelly Green Show. There's fire content coming out of there. And we are very blessed to have you on the nation. Hopefully see you sometime during the season. Maybe we can get another one of these started. Talk some more birds.
Sounds good.
And until then, like I always say, fly, Eagles, fly. And Bird Gang Nation, we out.